in the grand Parisian mansion of the Duc de Montsorel, where the air clung heavy with the weight of aristocratic lineage, the Duchesse de Montsorel stood in a rare state of agitation, her heart alight with a fire that had long been extinguished. The year was 1816, the Bourbons newly restored, and the city pulsed with the uneasy rhythm of a world remade. In a dimly lit salon, adorned with the sombre elegance of old wealth, she faced Mademoiselle de Vautrin, her confidante of 12 mournful years, whose lined face bore the traces of shared sorrow. Louise, as the Duchesse was known to her aunt, could scarcely contain the tremor in her voice as she spoke. For the first time in their long companionship, a spark of joy illuminated her features, alarming Mademoiselle de Vautrin, who knew the depths of her niece's grief. "What has stirred you so, Louise?" the older woman asked, her tone edged with apprehension. "This cheerfulness is unlike you. It unsettles me." The Duchesse's eyes, bright with a feverish hope, met her aunt's. "My son," she whispered, the words trembling with conviction. "He is found." The declaration hung in the air, fragile yet resolute, as if to speak it aloud might shatter the dream. Mademoiselle de Vautrin, ever cautious, warned of the anguish that would follow should this hope prove false. "A dead child has a tomb in a mother's heart," she countered, "but a stolen one lives on, a torment and a promise." Louise would hear no dissent. "I care not if the world overhears," she declared, her voice rising with a defiance that startled even herself. "I am reborn, strong enough to defy even Montsorel's tyranny." For 22 years, she had mourned her lost Fernand, stolen from her in infancy, a wound that festered in the silence of her soul. Yet now, a single evening had altered her destiny. At the Spanish ambassador's reception, amid the glitter of chandeliers and the murmur of diplomacy, she had beheld a young man whose visage mirrored her own, his features, his voice, a living echo of her blood. Raoul de Fresques, he called himself, and in his presence, a flame had kindled within her, banishing the shadows of despair. Mademoiselle de Vautrin, her heart heavy with skepticism, pressed for caution. "What warrant have you for such rapture?" she asked. "A mere resemblance." But Louise was beyond reason, her soul ablaze with maternal instinct. "It was no mere resemblance," she insisted. "His glance revived me, his voice restored my happiness. If he is not my son, then my heart is a liar." She had lingered at the reception, spellbound, unable to tear herself away until Raoul departed. In those stolen moments, she had heard him speak of his age, 23, the precise age of her Fernand, and watched as he conversed with Insta Christoval, the young woman betrothed to her stepson, the Marquis. The Duchesse's joy was not untainted by peril. She knew the dangers Raoul faced, a rival to the Marquis in both love and lineage. The Duke, her husband, a man of unyielding pride, would not fail to notice Inza's warmth toward this stranger. Yet Louise was undeterred, her thoughts consumed by the young man who had rekindled her spirit. "You shall see him," she told her aunt, her voice resolute. "I have asked him to come when the Duke is at the King's. We will question him, learn of his childhood." Her excitement was a tide, sweeping away all restraint. Mademoiselle de Vautrin, watching her niece's fervor, felt a pang of dread. "Calm yourself, Louise," she urged. "You will not sleep tonight." She rang for Félicite, the maid, instructing her to retire, for the hour was late. But Félicite, entering with a message, announced the Duke's return, accompanied by the Marquis. The Duchesse's face hardened. "I have told you, Félicite, never to report his Grace's movements," she said sharply, dismissing the girl. The intrusion of her husband's presence was a reminder of the world she defied, yet she would not yield. As Mademoiselle de Vautrin watched Louise depart, her heart ached with foreboding. "If she is deceived," she murmured to herself, "she might lose her senses." The Duchesse, pausing at the threshold, turned back, her voice soft but certain. "Fernand, dear aunt, calls himself Raoul de Frescas." With that, she vanished into the shadowed corridors, leaving behind a silence fraught with the promise of revelation and the spectre of ruin. In the hushed solitude of the Montsorel mansion's drawing room, Mademoiselle de Vaudrey sat alone, her thin frame rigid with the weight of secrets. The air was heavy with the scent of wax and old roses, a fitting shroud for the intrigues that festered within these walls. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, betrayed a mind consumed by vigilance. She pondered the Duchesse de Montsorel, her niece, whose heart clung to the impossible hope of reclaiming a lost son. To Mademoiselle de Vaudrey, such hope was a delusion, a mother's blind faith in miracles. Yet she knew the danger of that faith. If the Duchess's son were restored, it would not bring salvation but catastrophe, unraveling the delicate web of deception she had woven. A single misstep, a fleeting glance, could betray her to the merciless scrutiny of other women. Mademoiselle de Vaudrey resolved to watch her niece closely, to guard the fragile edifice of their shared secrets. The door creaked open, and Félicite, the Duchess's maid, entered, a youthful face a mask of practiced deference. Mademoiselle de Vaudrey's gaze flickered toward her, assessing. "Already here?" she asked, her voice cool and probing. Félicite curtsied, her eyes lowered. "Her Grace the Duchess dismissed me early." "Has my niece given you no orders for the morning?" Mademoiselle de Vaudrey pressed, her tone betraying a trace of suspicion. "None, madam," Félicite replied, her voice steady but guarded. Mademoiselle de Vaudrey leaned forward, her words precise. "A young man, named Monsieur Raoul de Frescas, will call upon me toward noon. He may ask for the Duchess, but you must instruct Joseph to bring him to my apartment." Without waiting for a response, she rose and swept from the room, her black skirts rustling like a whisper of conspiracy. Left alone, Félicite's demure facade crumbled, replaced by a scowl of resentment. A young man for Mademoiselle de Vaudrey? The notion seemed absurd, yet it stirred her curiosity. She had long suspected that her mistress's cloistered existence concealed some hidden motive. The Duchess was rich, beautiful, yet unloved by her husband, the Duke. And now, the first time she ventured into society, a mysterious visitor was to arrive, and her aunt wished to intercept him. Félicite's mind churned with speculation. "They keep me in the dark," she muttered, her voice bitter. "I am neither trusted nor tipped. If this is how chambermaids are treated under the new government, I don't know what will become of us." As she spoke, a side door opened briefly, revealing the silhouettes of two men before it snapped shut. Félicite's eyes narrowed, but she dismissed the fleeting glimpse. "At any rate," she murmured, "we shall have a look at this young man." With that, she slipped from the room, her steps light but purposeful. In the shadowed corridor beyond, Joseph, the Duchess's footman, exhaled a curse. "That blasted girl," he hissed, his voice low. "We would have been down in our luck if she had seen us." Beside him loomed Vautrin, his burly frame clad in a tan overcoat trimmed with fur, draped over the black evening dress of a foreign diplomat. His scarred face, illuminated by a flickering lamp, bore the marks of a life spent outwitting fate. "You mean you would have been down in your luck?" he retorted, his voice a gravelly sneer. "You take pretty good care not to be caught again, don't you? I suppose you enjoy peace of mind in this house." Joseph straightened, his expression defiant. "That I do, for honesty I find to be the best policy." Vautrin's lips curled into a mocking smile. "And do you quite approve of honesty?" "Oh, yes," Joseph replied, "so long as the place and the wages suit me." Vautrin's laugh was a low rumble. "I see you're doing well, my boy. You take little and often, you save, you even have the honesty to lend a trifle at interest. That's all right, but you cannot imagine what pleasure it gives me to see one of my old acquaintances filling an honorable position. You've succeeded, your faults are but negative, half virtues. I myself once had vices, I regret them as things of the past. Now I have nothing but dangers and struggles to interest me. Mine is the life of an Indian hemmed in by enemies, fighting to defend my scalp. Joseph's eyes narrowed. And what of mine? Yours? Vautrin's grin widened, revealing stained teeth. Whatever happens to me, you have the word of Jacques Collin that he will never compromise you. But you must obey me in everything. In everything? Joseph hesitated. But... There are no buts with me, Vautrin cut in, his tone unyielding. If there's any dark business to be done, I have my trustees and old allies. Have you been long in this place? Joseph relaxed slightly, sensing safer ground. The Duchess took me for her footman when she went with the court to Ghent last year. I'm trusted by both the ladies of the house. That's the ticket, Vautrin said, his eyes glinting. I need a few points about these Montsorels. What do you know about them? Nothing, Joseph replied, too quickly. Vautrin's gaze sharpened, sensing the lie. He's getting a little too honest, he thought. But he knew that no man could talk for 5 minutes without revealing something. Whose room is this? He asked aloud, gesturing to the opulent salon. The salon of Her Grace the Duchess, Joseph answered. These are her apartments. The Dukes are on the floor above. The suite of the Marquis, their only son, is below, looking onto the court. Vautrin nodded, his mind cataloguing the layout. I asked you for impressions of all the keys to the Duke's study. Where are they? Joseph hesitated, then produced a small bundle from his pocket. Here they are. Vautrin's expression hardened. Every time I purpose coming here, you'll find a cross in chalk on the garden gate. Every night, you must examine the place. Virtue reigns here, and the hinges of that gate are rusty, but a Louis XVIII can never be a Louis XV. Goodbye. I'll come back tomorrow night. He paused, then added, I must rejoin my people at the Christoval house. As Vautrin moved toward the door, Joseph muttered under his breath, since this devil of a fellow found me out, I've been on tenterhooks. Vautrin turned back, his eyes piercing. The Duke, then, does not live with his wife. They quarreled 20 years ago, Joseph admitted. What about? Not even their own son can say. And why was your predecessor dismissed? I cannot say, Joseph replied. I wasn't acquainted with him. They didn't set up an establishment here until after the king's second return. Vautrin's mind churned. Such are the advantages of the new social order, he thought. Masters and servants are bound by no ties, they feel no attachment, exchange no secrets, and so give no ground for betrayal. Aloud, he asked, any spicy stories at meal times? Never before the servants, Joseph said. What's thought of them in the servants' hall? The Duchess is considered a saint. Poor woman, Vautrin said, his tone mocking. And the Duke? He's an egotist. Yes, a statesman, Vautrin mused. The Duke must have secrets, he thought, and we must look into that. Every great aristocrat has some paltry passion by which he can be led. If I once get control of him, his son, necessarily, what said about the marriage of the Marquis de Montsorel and Inez de Christoval, he asked. I haven't heard a word, Joseph replied. The Duchess seems to take very little interest in it. And she has only one son. Vautrin exclaimed. That seems hardly natural. Between ourselves, Joseph confided, I believe she doesn't love her son. Vautrin's eyes gleamed. I'm obliged to draw this word from your throat, as if it were the cork in a bottle of Bordeaux. I perceive some mystery in this house. Here's a mother, a Duchesse de Montsorel, who doesn't love her son, her only son. Who's her confessor? She keeps her religious observances a profound secret, Joseph said. Good, I shall soon know everything, Vautrin declared.